The restaurant was nearly empty when it happened, one quiet moment that would flip a billionaire's entire world upside down. If you're watching this, don't miss what comes next, because the moment he stepped inside, he witnessed something so powerful, so unexpected, it changed not just one life, but two. And if stories like this move you, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because the ending is something you'll remember for a long time. Adrian Cole, one of the youngest billionaires in the country, was the kind of man whose name turned heads everywhere. People whispered about him: genius investor, ruthless businessman, cold-hearted negotiator. But none of them knew that behind the power, behind the success, he carried a wound that never healed. His father, once a proud engineer and the strongest man he knew, had suffered a massive stroke 2 years ago. Since then, he couldn't speak, couldn't walk without help, and often didn't even recognize his own son. And that broke Adrian more than any business loss ever could. The only person his father still responded to was the family's long-term caregiver, who unfortunately had to take an emergency leave that weekend. Work had kept Adrian too busy to be present, but guilt finally forced him to take personal charge of his father for the day. Exhausted, drained, and feeling strangely helpless, he decided to take his father out for a late lunch, believing a change of environment might help. He didn't want attention, so he chose a small, quiet roadside diner, one that didn't look like it belonged anywhere near a billionaire. The neon sign flickered, the windows needed cleaning, and the paint was peeling. But that was exactly why he went there. No cameras. No press. No expectations. He carefully helped his father out of the car, adjusting the wheelchair as gently as he could. His father stared forward blankly, hands resting on his lap. Adrian swallowed the ache in his throat and pushed him inside. A young waitress was wiping tables when they entered. She looked up and smiled, a warm, gentle smile that didn't shift even when she saw the wheelchair. Her name tag read Lena. "Welcome," she said softly. "Take your time. Sit wherever you feel comfortable." She didn't rush them, didn't stare, didn't pity. She simply stepped aside with a kindness that felt rare. Adrian settled his father at a corner table. When Lena returned with menus, his father's hand shook uncontrollably, knocking over a glass of water. Adrian reached quickly to clean it, but she beat him to it. "It's okay," she whispered. "No harm done." Her calmness surprised him. Most people got awkward. Some got nervous. Some pretended not to notice at all. But she handled it like it was the most natural thing in the world. When the food arrived, his father couldn't lift the spoon. His eyes darted anxiously, his body tensing, a silent frustration he could no longer verbalize. Adrian leaned in, ready to help, but Lena gently touched his arm. "Let me," she said. She knelt beside his father, dipped the spoon into the soup, blew softly to cool it, and brought it to his lips with patience and respect, never hurrying, never treating him like a burden. His father accepted the food peacefully, even looking at her with a faint spark of recognition. For a moment, something warm flickered in Adrian's chest, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Gratitude. Relief. Hope. "Thank you," he murmured. She smiled again, that same peaceful smile. "My mom had the same condition. I know how hard it is. You're doing great." He didn't know why, but her words hit him harder than he expected. Maybe because nobody ever told him that. Maybe because he had spent months feeling like he was failing his father, failing himself, failing to be the son he once promised he'd be. When she stepped away to help another customer, Adrian watched her careful steps, the way she greeted everyone with genuine warmth, the exhaustion she tried so hard to hide. Her uniform was slightly worn, her shoes old, her ponytail loose. She was young, maybe 21, 22, but her eyes carried a heaviness that people usually didn't notice. Something about her made him curious. When his father finished eating, Lena returned with the bill. Before she placed it on the table, she looked at Adrian's father, brushing back a few strands of his gray hair. "You did so well," she whispered to him. And his father smiled. A real smile. Soft, small, but real. Adrian almost broke. A billionaire, someone who could buy half the city if he wanted, found himself speechless over a simple act of kindness from a girl who earned tips for a living. And then it happened. As Adrian reached for his wallet, his father's hand trembled and knocked over the bowl. Hot soup spilled over the table and onto the floor. His father flinched, panicked, gripping the armrests of his wheelchair. Adrian froze, heart pounding. He didn't know what to do first, comfort his father or clean the mess. But Lena moved instantly. She crouched beside his father, her voice soft and soothing. "You're okay. You're safe. Nothing happened. You're doing amazing." She placed her hand gently over his, steadying his trembling fingers. Slowly, his breathing calmed. His shoulders relaxed. And for the first time in months, Adrian saw peace on his father's face. He knew then, this girl wasn't just kind. She was extraordinary. After they left the diner, he helped his father into the car. But when he looked back through the window, he saw Lena clearing the table alone, her shoulders heavy with exhaustion. Something inside him said, "Don't walk away. Not from this. Not from her." He returned to the diner the next day without his father. Lena was shocked to see him. "I didn't expect you back," she said. "I didn't expect to be back," he replied honestly. He asked her why she had helped his father with such tenderness. She hesitated but eventually opened up. Her mother had suffered a stroke 3 years ago. Lena dropped out of college to care for her full-time. She worked night shifts at the diner to pay for her mother's medicines. Money was always short. Sleep was rare. But she never complained. "I know what it's like," she said quietly. "To love someone who needs you. To stay strong even when you're breaking inside." Her words echoed in his chest long after she walked away. Over the next 2 weeks, Adrian visited the diner daily. Not because he needed food, but because he needed to see her. Her strength. Her kindness. Her light. He learned about her dreams, her struggles, her fears. And she learned that he was not just a billionaire, he was a son trying desperately to hold on to the last pieces of his father. One evening, Lena's boss yelled at her for being late, even though she had rushed from the hospital after her mother's seizure. Adrian saw her wipe tears behind the counter. Something inside him snapped. He stood up, walked to the owner, and said quietly, "How much do you make from this diner?" The owner blinked. "Why?" "Because I'm buying it." Lena froze. Within days, the paperwork was signed. The diner became hers, not hers. "But, why?" she whispered, trembling. "Because the world needs more people like you," he replied. "And because someone who carries that much kindness deserves a life where she doesn't have to break herself to survive." She cried in a way she hadn't cried in years, releasing everything she had held inside. Adrian hired the best doctors for her mother, paid for a full-time caregiver, and helped Lena enroll back in college. Her life changed overnight, but not because of charity. Because she had earned it. Through empathy, through sacrifice, through love. As for Adrian, something changed in him too. Watching Lena care for others taught him how to reconnect with his father, how to speak with love even when words failed, how to be present in a way success had never allowed him to be. Months later, as they stood in the newly renovated diner, now bustling with customers, Lena took his father's hand again. And this time, his father squeezed back, eyes shining with recognition. It was the first time he had done that in over a year. Adrian looked at Lena, voice thick with emotion. "You brought him back to me." She shook her head. "No, he was always there. You just needed someone to remind you how to reach him." The billionaire who once believed he had everything realized that none of it compared to the quiet, powerful love of a girl who had nothing, but gave everything. And he knew he would spend the rest of his life honoring that love. So if you're watching this, remember. Sometimes angels don't have wings. Sometimes they wear aprons, wipe tables, and feed strangers with trembling hands. Sometimes they walk into your life when you least expect it, and change everything forever. And if this story touched you even a little, make sure to like the video, share it, and subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us all what kindness can do.